Hello everybody, this is Cece. And it is 1:52 at night. I just woke up and fed Brayden, and now I'm up because I woke up and fed him. But this is going to be my labor and delivery story. I didn't want to tell this story. I couldn't tell this story at the beginning because I was too emotional. Every time I try to talk about it or whatever, I'll just start crying. And I didn't want to be on camera crying. So I decided to wait to tell the story. So, here goes. Okay. So, you all know on November 12th, well, on that Thursday before the Thursday before that Monday, I had a doctor's appointment and we scheduled induction for November 12th. So on November 12th, I got up 5 o'clock in the morning and went to the hospital and to do the induction. So I got to the hospital about 6 o'clock on the head. We was there, and everything was good. We got settled in. We was in labor and delivery. They started my IV. They started everything, but they did all that paperwork and everything, but they did not start my induction. So it was about 8 o'clock. My doctor came in, and no, a doctor came in, not my doctor. Some doctor came in, and basically was telling me about what's going to happen in induction and everything. And I was like, okay, cool. But they never started it. So I'm like, okay, when they going to get it started? So, my boyfriend had left and went out the room for something. And when he came back in, he said, there's a group of doctors in front of your door talking, like having a meeting. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, what? Why they not starting my induction? Like, they showed me the thing they was going to insert inside me. And they told me everything. That I spoke to the anesthesiologist in case I needed an epidural. If they asked me, do I want an epidural and everything. And I told them, yeah, I wanted one and whatever. And, I mean, everything was basically on the go. So what could they possibly be outside talking about? So, in about 10 o'clock, yes, 10 o'clock, from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, I still hadn't been inducted or nothing. So, about 10 o'clock came in, like 5 doctors came into my room. And I'm like, well, what's going on? And then my doctor then came in with the doctors. And my doctor was basically telling me because my son was big, that his shoulder might be dislocated coming out my vagina. And I'm like, okay, that's all birth. I mean, I was like, let's just take the chance and everything. But they was just stressing it so bad. Like, oh, it's the case we might have to break his shoulder, or his shoulder might dislocate it, or he could die. Like, they was just stressing it so bad. And my thing is, I was telling them, I was like, well, even if he was a small baby, that could be an option. Like, he was trying to convince me to do a C-section. I didn't want to do a C-section. I was totally against C-section, and he knew that. But he just was like, oh, it's like, he wasn't basically trying to convince me, but he was trying to convince me. And then I'm like, because my thing is, from that Thursday when we was in his office, I told him I didn't want a C-section. I told him that I wanted to do induction. That's why I scheduled the induction when I was 39 weeks, so that he wouldn't get any bigger and that I could push him out. That was my whole plan. If I knew I had to do a C-section, I would have waited until 40 weeks or until not my birthday. So I'm like, okay, that's what really pissed me off, y'all. I had a really bad labor. I ain't gonna lie. Because he waited until And it's like he had other doctors talking from him. And it's like he knew I did not want a C-section. He knew this. So he had other doctors coming in there basically trying to talk to me, basically making me feel like my back was up against the wall, which I told y'all I didn't want that. Basically telling me I had no other choice. But it's like they were trying to make it seem like it was my decision if I wanted to do the C-section and everything. And I kept saying, no, I don't want to do it. No, I don't want to do it. But they wasn't going on with my induction. They just kept talking about me, about the baby's shoulder and the baby neck. And basically they was like, oh, you need to really think about it. You don't have to decide now. I'm like, yeah, I kind of do. So, I mean, they just basically put my back against the wall. And so it's like as soon as I said, okay, do the C-section, boom. They said, okay, and walked out. But as long as I was saying, I don't want a C-section, I want to just go ahead and do the induction, they just kept talking about the shoulders, talking about the possibilities, talking about this, talking about that. As soon as I said, okay, let's do the C-section, okay. And they left. And then other doctors came in and was telling me about the C-section and everything. And a man came in there and explained what happens during the C-section and everything. I didn't listen to none of that stuff because I started crying immediately. Like, I was upset, y'all. I was upset. Like, I just felt like, I don't know. I was really upset, y'all. And then, on top of that, they was like, okay, we're going to come in 30 minutes to come get you for the C-section. 30 minutes turned into an hour. An hour turned into 2 hours. 2 hours turned into 3 hours. Mind you, I haven't eaten all day. I ate before I got there around 7. Around 6. I thought I was going to have an induction. Had I knew I was going to have a C-section, I would have never eaten anything. So, I did the induction. I had 8. So, they asked me when the last time I ate. I told them I ate at 6 o'clock. Then they said, okay, we have to wait till 2 o'clock to do your induction, till you do your C-section. I said, okay, fine. Waited till 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock turned into 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock turned into 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock turned to 5. Never came in. So, basically what had happened was, he told me, the doctor came in about 5 o'clock. 5 or 6 o'clock. And then he was basically saying how they had emergency C-sections that had to be done. That's why it was taking so long for me to get into the OR, because mine wasn't an emergency. I was just an elective C-section. But they had a lady coming there with twins with triplets, and her water had broke, and she couldn't, once you have 2 C-sections, you can't deliver vaginally. So he was telling me all that. And then another lady came in, and basically they had emergencies. So they scheduled me for the next day, which was my birthday, November 13th, for 7 o'clock in the morning, to have a C-section. So I stayed in labor and delivery for that night, and my boyfriend, and we just prayed and cried. And talked to family and everybody, and got our head wrapped around about having a C-section. And that morning, early that morning, I'm thinking I'm gonna get up, brush my teeth, take a bath, put on some clothes, like wait for them like I did the day before. They woke me up like at 6:30. The lady came in, she checked my vitals and everything, and checked the baby heartbeat and everything, and then she said, she left, and then she came right back in, and she was like, okay, we're ready. I'm like, ready for what? And then she was like, ready for you to prep you for C-section. The doctor's here. I'm like, oh my God. Like, y'all told me 7. It's 6:30. And so, it was so funny, though, because the lady came, one of the nurses from the C-section, OR, she came in, and she was like, verifying all my information, and she was like, when is your birthday? And I was like, today. She was like, oh, happy birthday. So, they was just singing happy birthday to me. They bought flowers for me. And, they tried to make the bad situation good. But I was just so scared and so nervous, y'all. I just didn't know what to do. Like, and then I'm plus size, so it was really bad, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. I was upset. They had to take my stomach. Like, when I show, I'm gonna insert pictures because I'm recording this on my phone, but I'm gonna upload it on my computer. But when they was they had, when I show you the pictures, you want to see tape on my shoulders because they had to lift my stomach up and tape my stomach, like, going up to my chest. Like, it was bad. But the C-section took about, I say they started prepping me around 7 o'clock. He was born at 7:56. So there's your time. So yeah. But okay, so that's the delivery. Now, that's the labor. Now, the hospital stay. Now, the hospital I was in sucked ass. Pardon my French. Pardon my language. Because that's not French. Anyway, so after I got out of the labor, after I got out of the OR for the C-section, I went into the recovery area, not room, area. And I stayed there for 6 hours after, because they said no rooms was available. And then I had a private doctor, so I had to have a private room. So I couldn't share a room. Basically, that's why it took so long. So while I was in recovery, I couldn't see my son. So that's like, I hold my son for about 10 to 15, not 15 to 10 minutes, about 5 to 10 minutes. And I got to hold him while I was in the OR when they was stitching me up and everything. And then they put me in recovery for 6 hours, and I didn't see my baby. I was so upset. I kept crying, and I was just like, I was upset, y'all. I was very upset. So when we finally get to the room, about 30 minutes later, they bring my baby in. This is why I want to tell the story, y'all. It's just so emotional. I get so emotional. They bring my baby in. I get to play with him. That's when I get to take the pictures of him, his dad holding him for the first time. And, I mean, I get to just get to know him and get to try to breastfeed him. And because they fed him twice. That's how long he was away from me. They fed him twice while I was in recovery. So he already had got introduced to bottles and formula. So breastfeeding him was challenging from the beginning. As soon as they brought him in, I changed his clothes. I put him on regular clothes or whatever. And we just took pictures and we just got to know him for like 30 minutes. They come back in. Oh, you have to take a test. So they take him out. Then they bring him back in. And then about 15 minutes after that, oh, we have to do vitals. I'm like, why can't they come in here and do vitals? So like, oh no, they come get all the babies and put all the babies in the nursery to do the vitals. I'm like, ugh. So they take him to go do the vitals. Then they keep him for about an hour and a half. Then they bring him back. Actually a doctor comes in. And she's like, oh, his bilirubin is high. He needs to go to the NICU to be put under the light. Immediately start crying. I mean, I just really wanted him to be in a room with me. So that really frustrated me. I'm like, so he goes to the room. He goes to the NICU. The doctor told me that he was only going to be under the light for about 6 hours. 6 hours. Why she told me that, I have no idea. Because you don't know what's going to happen in 6 hours. You don't know how his bilirubin is going to act or whatever the case may be. So why she told me that, I don't know. But when she told me that, it basically calmed me down. Because I'm like, okay, he's going to come back. I was like, is he going to come back? She was like, yeah, he's going to come back. Because I couldn't walk, mind you. I still had them things on my leg. Like, it's the bag things they put on your leg to make sure you don't get any blood clots. To every like so often, like every like I say 15 seconds, it'll like vibrate on your leg and go up and down or whatever. So I couldn't get that off until about, I don't even know when they took that off, to tell you the truth, because I was asleep. And then I was on drug medicine, so I was sleepy. oh my God, I've never been so sleepy in my life. The medicine they gave me because right after the C-section, believe it or not, I started feeling pain. And that pain was killing me. So she gave me some medicine, and that medicine put me to sleep immediately. Like, I was talking like, like so, like, my boyfriend was laughing at me and everything because I was really drugged up. So I was really upset. Like, so she told me he was gonna be up there for about 6 hours. 6 hours, yeah, under the light. So I couldn't go up there to see him because I had the IV. I had the things on my leg, and they was like, we can't stand up. I had the catheter in, so I couldn't go see him probably until the next day. Oh, no. I think I went to see him that night after they took that. No. Yeah, I went to see him that night. My boyfriend had went to school. When he came back, we went up to see him. I believe so, yeah. I think so, yeah. This is why I need to tell y'all before I forget everything. So, this is why I need to record it. Anyway, so, we went up there to see him after they took the things off my leg and everything and the catheter out. We went up there and we seen him, and he had the blue light on and the glasses, the little things for his eyes. I started crying again. I was so emotional. Yeah, I was just crazy emotional. And so I talked to a nurse up there or whatever, and they were saying how his bilirubin was really high. Basically, it's like jaundice. I don't know if y'all remember that. Know what jaundice is or anything, but it's like when their skin turns yellow and their eyes, like where the white part is yellow. So his was very high, whatever, in his blood, and they said if it get any higher, it can damage his brain or whatever. So they had to put him under the light, under the blue light. And then the first day he was on the light, he was on the one light, and then the next morning I went back, he was on the two lights. So y'all know I was bawling. I was crying. Because I'm thinking he's going to have to stay in the hospital. He's not going to go home when I go home. It was crazy, y'all. So, and then I didn't like the staff. Let me get that light out of the way. Then I didn't like the staff because while I was up there visiting my son, the other babies would be in there. They'd be crying. I'm like, dang, so what if they do that to my baby? Like, what if my baby be up here crying like that? And they don't, it's like they so used to the babies crying, like they didn't even try to hush the babies or nothing. I didn't like that. And then, they only attend to the baby when it's time for feeding. That's when they do the shots. That's when they do the changing of the diaper. That's when they doing anything. Is when it's time to feed the baby. If it's not time to feed you, you finna cry. And you gonna sit there and wait. Basically. I understand they busy or whatever, but when it's your child, you don't want that to happen. So I was just bawling about that and whatever. So every 3 hours, I made it my business, stitches and all, pain and all. The first time I went up there, my boyfriend pushed me in a wheelchair, but then he had to go to work and school. So every other time after that, I walked up and down the stairs. Not stairs. I walked. It's a far walk. I wanted to record that walk for y'all, but I didn't. I didn't want to be looking crazy in the hospital with a camera in front of me. So, but it's a long walk to and from my room into where the baby was. And I did it every 3 hours around the clock. Because I didn't want them to have my baby in there screaming and hollering. He was a good baby. He didn't cry, nothing. So, but I fed him and I changed his diaper, took his temperature, and got him ready. I wanted him under that light as soon as possible, so I didn't keep him from under the light because I wanted him in the hill. His bilirubin levels, first it was getting higher and higher. I think the highest it got was 12.8 or something like that, and then it stopped. I think that's the highest it had got. And then it just kept going down. First it was going down by points. It was 12 point 12.6 or whatever. Because they checked it every 6 hours, I think they checked it. Because they gave me the results. They took the blood at 4, and then they gave me the results at 6, and then they took it again. Anyway, so like every 6 hours or so, they checked it or whatever. And then it was going up, and then it stopped, and then it was going down. They was telling me that it was no way that he was gonna come home on Friday. Like, they was just tearing my behind up. I went up there boo-hoo crying. I mean, they was like, you crying over nothing, you know, you don't know. It's best to just wait and see, blah, blah, blah. So, on Friday, I just started crying when I woke up that morning. Because I'm like, that's the day I'm going to go home. Oh, I am. And so, I had got discharged from the hospital Friday morning. Friday afternoon, I got discharged around 3 o'clock that Friday. And, oh, God, I never prayed so much in my life, I tell you. I'm like, God, please let my baby go home. Please let my baby go home with me. First of all, I was happy. Okay, so when I got discharged from the hospital, I went to the NICU and just stayed up there with him or whatever. And when I went up there, oh my God, he wasn't under no lights, y'all. He was just in his little crib cage thing. And he was just there, like, with no lights, no nothing. I can hold him for as long as I want because he didn't have to be under the light. His bilirubin was going down. I was so happy, y'all. So that's when I just started praying even more. I'm like, I know my baby gonna come home. I know my baby gonna go home now. Until my boyfriend came. My boyfriend had school that day. He got off around 3, which was the time that I got discharged. But I told him to just stay at home, get things ready, because we was coming home. Point blank, period. And I believed that we was coming home. So, yeah, so I just stayed up there with him, and then the doctor was like, if his bilirubin goes to 10, because remember it was at 12.8, then it was going down, but it was going down slowly, and then it started taking chunks, and then he was in the 11s, and then they said if it's in 10s, we can let him go. But like if it was like 10.11, he can go home. So I was like, God, please let it be 10. Please let it be 10. I was praying so hard. Yeah, and then they were supposed to check it at 4, actually. They didn't check it until, I believe, 6. They took his blood. Oh my God, like they were just taking their postal time. They know I was like on pins and needles. And they was just taking their slow time to take his blood. Like, I'm sitting here like, oh my God, hurry up. Like, ugh. They didn't check his blood until about 6 o'clock. And then we didn't get the results until 8 o'clock. We got the results back. And then they was like, good news, he's going home. And, I was just so happy. What else after that? Oh, then they told us that we had to go see his doctor on that Monday. So, then I brought my baby boy home. And then, that's everything. So, that's my labor and delivery story, y'all. It took a long time. My baby's going to be 3 weeks on Tuesday coming up. And it took a long time to get that story because I couldn't tell that story without crying. But now, I guess I'm over it. I can tell it now. So, yeah. Sorry it took so long. Bye.